Anything?
In village, basically, the sarpanch and his members are elected by the people. That is the constitutional body.
Yeah.
Then from bureaucracy, there is a at block level there is a gram sevak, which is guided by or authorized by block BDO, block development officer.
Yes.
Again, block development officer is controlled by CO of ZP, Jila Parichad.
Yes.
And then at state level, it is monitored by cabinet.
Good, Vilas. I think you have read the chapter.
Yes,
Anyone else wants to add? You'll be appearing in December exam.
but form is not still we have still not any exam form.
You are from July batch or
Yes,
Jan? Then so you'll be giving in next year only. Yeah, then you have
yes,
time for that.
yes.
How many of you are from January batch? Please raise your hand so that if I'll have to check your assignments, I'll do that first. Okay, okay. Five or four of you. Okay. Okay, now I'll start with the presentation. Is it visible? Is it visible to you
Present,
all?
presentation
Yes,
is not
ma'am.
visible. Only
Okay. Now?
yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. Now this is block 4 of your MRD 101 course. And first we'll talk about rural development administration. It is very important because development of to develop whenever development takes place, so lots of administration, it can't be done just like that. So it is very important to have a proper administration of the rural areas, then proper like individuals to be appointed to work at the grassroots level. So that's why rural administration is very important, the transformation and modernization of rural economy and society, and the elevation of poverty also, because lots of plans and policy do are framed, but to implement that it is very important to have a proper structured administration. For this purpose we need mobilization of resources and their allocation specifically to implement programs for the benefits of the rural population, and especially the rural poor, because those who are rich even in rural areas, they are educated, they know how to get like how to utilize whatever the benefits are given to them. But the rural poors who are not educated, they are not aware, so they do suffer. So it's very important for them. The administrative structure for the implementation of rural development programs therefore assumes special significance because India is a basically agrarian based economy country, so it's more focus is there on rural areas. In India today, a major agency for development is the administrative machinery itself. But to bring about changes in rural economy or in a country as a whole, three essential conditions are there which lacks in many aspects, like change in ideas, attitudes, value, orientation, and predisposition of the bureaucracy. If it is to succeed as a major instrument of social transformation, functions in the development administration are not expected to rule or function as masters of the people. It do happen, and especially in the village areas, like those who are sitting on a chair of authority, they think they are like they rule they just like exploit the people there. It happens at many, not all the places, but at many places it happens. So they need to change the ideas. They are not the masters of people, either at rural level or in urban areas. Instead, they are required to facilitate, stimulate, and promote change and development. They have to be responsible to the needs and aspiration of the people. So it is very important for to bring about change. Secondly, the bureaucratic organization structure should be reasonably decentralized. Power has to be decentralized. Otherwise, if person is sitting with too many responsibilities, you can say, or power position, then it is not possible. It has to be divided among people at different levels, so that policies are implemented properly, rendered free from procedural rigidities, and should involve the people in the process of decision making. And that's why, now, panchayat elections and all are held, because people are getting involved, people are taking decisions, whom to choose, whom not to choose. And even groups are formed where people are like they are contributing in the whole process of decision making. Thirdly, since political leadership lay down policy and give direction to development, administrative performance is to a large extent influenced by the support and cooperation of political leaders. It is therefore essential that bureaucrats and political leaders develop a new understanding of their complementary roles and forge functional relationship accordingly. It is very important the political leaders to be responsible. They can't only implement, just frame policies, implement, they have to take the responsibility that things are done properly. So because they are being selected not only in urban areas, rural areas also. So they do people do select them too. So they should take their responsibility properly, otherwise things won't work. Change will not change, no change can't take place. The objective for rural development administration is the Department of Rural Development has been implementing various centrally sponsored programs, schemes, and central sector schemes of the government of India, with the view to ensure that vast multitudes of people living in rural areas are not left out of the ambit of national economic growth and overall development process. This is the main objective of setting up of rural administration. Now the scheme was passed, uh, of gas cylinder, ladies, or the scheme of, in Madhya Pradesh there is a scheme, Ladli Behna. So it should reach out to the masses, and that's why rural administration is very similarly. There are many policies, many schemes which government of India do implement, but to make them to reach the masses, it's very important to have a proper administration. And this is the objective. Now his history, we can just go through. In October 1974, the Department of Rural Development came into existence as a part of Ministry of Food and Agriculture. Later on, in 79, the Department of Rural Admin Development was elevated to the status of a new ministry. Like it, a new ministry. Otherwise, a separate ministry was not there for rural development. Then in 79, ministry in the name of Rural Reconstruction came into being. It was renamed as Ministry of Rural Development in 82. In January 85, the Ministry of Rural Development was again converted into a department under the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. Again, the name changed. In 85, subject of accelerated rural water supply program and central rural sanitation program were transferred from the Ministry of Urban Development to the Department of Rural Development. It took place in 85. Later, a technology mission on drinking water supply in rural areas was set up in 1987 with a view to provide potable drinking water to problem villages throughout the country. And on July 91, the department was upgraded and Ministry of Rural Development. Another Department of Wasteland Development, was created under the ministry, under the Rural Development Ministry. This Department of Wasteland Development was created on 2nd July 1992, and the NWDB was reconstituted in August 1992 for the development of wasteland in the non-forest areas, aimed at checking land degradation, putting such wasteland in the country to substantial use and increasing biomass availability, especially fuel wood and fodder. So this is the history. In March 1995, the ministry was renamed as the Ministry of Rural Areas and Employment. I request you all, if you can take the screenshot, please do take the screenshot with, because I am finding it very difficult to share the PPTs on WhatsApp, because some problem is there with my mobile, some storage or something, so I'm not able to do that. So please, if someone wants any page to be taken, you please take the screenshot, because these
Definitely.
things are not there in your book.
Yes, ma'am, we took taking.
In March 1995, the ministry, because they might ask history. It is written thoda thoda, but you can have a clear idea of that. In March 1995, the ministry was renamed as Ministry of Rural Areas Employment with three departments, namely Departments of Rural Employment and Poverty Alleviation. Again, three departments came under this, and Department of Rural Development and Development of Wasteland Development. Provision of drinking water supply and social assistance to the destitute were the main components of the activities of the Department of Rural Development. The Department of Rural Employment and Poverty Alleviation was implementing scheme for generation of self-employment and wage employment, housing, minor irrigation assets, and skill upgradation programs to the rural people. The main things which this department the things which under this department was these things. The Department of Wasteland Development was implementing schemes to increase the biomass production by developing wasteland in the country, the land like wastelands, forest areas which is like neither it is a forest nor people are residing there, so some areas like that, to develop that. In the year 1999 2000, the ministry was restricted to as the Ministry of Rural Development, and three departments were named at under Department of Rural Development, Department of Land Resources, and Department of Drinking Water Supply. Department of Drinking Water Supply was separated for the Ministry of Rural Development on 15 July 2011 and renamed as Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation. So again, it was separated from this department, and a separate ministry was made for Ministry of Drinking Water and Sanitation. I think Namami Gange project does come under this only. Now, this was like administration is at three level. Rural administration at the four levels. Sorry, at the national level, state level, district level, and block level. So it is divided under four subheads. So first, we'll talk about administrative setup at national level, because it is a decentralization of power, right, from nation, state, district, and block level. The Ministry of Rural Development is a separate ministry and has two departments. We talked about that: Department of Rural Development, Department of Drinking Water Supply. And in Department of Rural Development, these departments come: Administrative and Panchayati Raj Division, Poverty Elevation Division, Swan Jayanti Gram Swarojgar Yojana Division, Rural Connectivity Division, Land Resource Division, and Monitoring Division, Finance Division. All this comes under whatever related to finance or poverty elevation program, connectivity like roads and all this comes under Department of Rural Development. And Department of Drinking Water Supply is second department, under which Drinking Water Supply Division and Rural Sanitation Division, that is Saaf Safai and all, and water supply, this comes under this department. So mainly these two departments are there at the national level, and the sub departments are these: seven under Department of Rural Development and two under the Department of Drinking Water Supply. And the what is the hierarchy? Each of the above division is headed by a joint secretary level officer, assisted by other supporting staff, administrative as well as technical staffs. Then the Ministry of Rural Development is responsible for policy, planning, direction, coordination, release of central share of funds, and monitoring of the program. This is the function of the Ministry of Rural Development. The program of the ministry may be divided into four subcategories. Now, we talk about what are two ministries: rural development and water. Two of them are there, and this the programs which is carried by the Ministry of Rural Development is self-employment programs, like providing loans and all, those who are for small industries, also for other projects, also small projects at rural level. Wage employment program, so that get there is Manrega and all wage employment programs, then so that they get a minimal wage uh, for a month. So some programs are there, like they get a minimum of 200-300
Mira,
rupees. Hello, yes, कोई कुछ बोल रहा था क्या? Then area development programs and basic needs programs. So develop the areas, infrastructure facilities, roads, schools and all, and basic needs, whatever the basic needs of the village. Anything can come under this, inclusive of all. Food, shelter and comes under that. Like nowadays the जहाँ झुग्गी वहाँ घर and all योजनाs are there, like they for rural sanitation program, वो प्रधानमंत्री का that making of toilets and all was there. The Ministry of Rural Development has the following institution under its administrative control. That is the National Institute of Rural Development (NIRD), which is an autonomous body. The Council for Advancement of People Action and Rural Technology, CA CAPART, you can say, which is registered society. A National Fund for Rural Development (NFRD) was set up in 1984 for the purpose of attracting donations for rural development projects. Like it's a people used to donate, many people, those who are like rich, they want to donate, they want, even those who belong to that village, especially Punjab, villages of Punjab, those who are residing in Canada and all, they do send money to their for the development of their village. So the this was established in 1984. So the Ministry of Rural Development is not only the agency to implement programs in rural areas. Rural development is as much as a concern for several other ministries, departments that have program in rural areas, like the Department of Agriculture and Cooperation has a large number of programs. So it is not only to it's not agency to implement programs, but they do have concerns about other departments also, like Department of Agriculture, they has many there are many programs, so they have to implement that. For that, lots of like resources are required, human resource, material resource. So it is that is a big concern for them. The Ministry of Environment and Forest, so that again, whatever policy and programs comes under that, do impact the rural development programs also. The Department of Women, these programs also they have to take care of. The Department of Women and Child Development has programs for welfare of children and women. So it is not only one department to implement policy, but the programs or other departments also comes under this to see whether it is implemented properly or not. The Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment has programs for the welfare of scheduled caste schedule. That also it comes under like it is not under the ministry, but it has to be taken care of. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare for health and family planning program, the Ministry of Industries for village and industry and employment of the youth. So actually it is amalgamation of all the thing, then only rural development will take place. So it is not only that implemented policy is framed and it is implemented, so everything has to be taken care of. The Department of Education for educational development, the Ministry of Water Resource for the development of water resource. So that was on the national level. Now we move on to the administrative setup at the state level. The state government has direct responsibility for the administration of rural development program. Almost all the state have now a separate department for rural development headed by a secretary. You must have seen even at state level also leaders are elected, and at national level, like for the Lok Sabha also, and at the state level also, Vidhan Sabha also. So it is elected at the both levels. Even politicians are elected, and there is a separate department rural development at state level also, at national level also, and there is a separate department of rural development at in every state, which is headed by a secretary. Above him is the Development Commissioner for Agriculture and Rural Development. The hierarchy is the secretary, then is the Commissioner of Agriculture and Rural Development. In several states, Chief Secretary himself or herself is the Development Commissioner come Secretary. In many states, it is the same also. But this is the hierarchy. During the late 1960s, the state level coordination and review committee were set up in all the states to bring about coordination among different departments. These committees consisted of the secretaries of all the departments concerned and a representative each from the central government. So this committee was formed in 1960 to see the state level coordination uh, among different departments, and one secretary consisted of the secretaries of all the departments. Like I talked about different departments working for the rural development program. So secretary from all the departments and a representative each from the central government also, so at national level also and at state level also. A study conducted during 1979-81 by the Program Evaluation Organization PEU of the Planning Commission in connection with the Antodaya program for small farmers, marginal farmers, and agricultural laborers 1983 pointed out that the coordination and review committee at the state level were not active in most of the states, and that they had failed to provide guidance or support to the agencies. The state level cells, which were expected to exercise general supervision and ensure coordination of the activities of various departments, had generally not been able to achieve their objective either. Though these things were done, the committees were formed, but it was not able to give results. It was not though it was on ground, it was there, committee is formed, but it was not working properly. So this is being criticized on that ground. So this was on the state level. Then comes the third thing, that is administrative setup at the block and the village level. Just a minute. Huh? Under CDP, the department block was created as the basic unit of planning under CD and integrated rural development, compromising agriculture and allied activities such as education, health, social welfare. It's with special emphasis on self-help and public participation. The block administration consisted of a block officer, namely block development officer, as Vilas said, BDO, who was assisted by about 8 extension personnel representing agriculture, animal husbandry, cooperation, social welfare, irrigation, etc. These are called village level workers, VLS, from different departments, also the Gram Sevak or Sevikas, and some auxiliary staffs. Provisions was made for the constitution of block advisory committee to enlist popular support for the program. So whatever advice could be given, that provision was made so that at the block level, uh, what things can be changed, the suggestions, those which can be implemented, the suggestions were given, so that provision was made. After some times, however, it was realized that the block advisory committee were not functioning properly because they were advisory bodies without any direct responsibility in the development work, and this was again criticized on the basis of this, because they were not given the direct responsibility, and that's why they were not able to function properly. So too many people were involved, but no direct responsibility was given to any one of them, and that's why it could not succeed as expected. So- Okay, these are the three levels which we talked about. Anything till now? Because then we'll move to Panchayat Raj, which is again at the village level only. Samitis. Anything till now? You want to add on anything? Any one of you? Are you all there? Are you all there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything till now? You want to add anything? You must have read something which you want to add now. Okay. Then I think everyone has read a lot. Then we'll move. Okay. Panchayati Raj system came into India for this purpose only, and for administration, to look after the administration of village, and it was constitutionalized earlier, though the system exists, not it's not a new thing, it is existing since ancient time. Panchayats were there, the elders of the village, they used to take decisions, and someone committing crime, they were made to stand in front of panchayats, and panchayats फिर फैसला सुनाती थी. So it's not a new thing, but yes, it is constitutionalized now. Panchayati Raj institution is the third tier of our three-tier governance model. This system is rural, like central, state, and Panchayati Raj. This system is a rural self-governing body. Election is being made on a national level, then state level, and then the Panchayati Raj, Panchayat level. That's why it is called three-tier governance model. This system is rural self-governing body where the local people elect the leaders. These local bodies were formed to get governance to the roots of the country. Why it is done? because people who are from that village, people who know the demography of the village, people who are working at the grassroots level, if they work for the development of village, they can think in a better way, they can understand the problem. Like suppose you belong to a village and where there is a shortage of water supply is not there, so you will realize the problem faced by the villagers, because you yourself must have gone through that, those problems. Suppose a person has to get water from 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers, those problem others can't realize what problem they are facing. That's why Panchayati Raj system came into existence, so that people belonging to that area, those who are working on grassroots level, they can help in the decision making process. They can administrate, so they can think of the problem and solution for the people. Which is why the central or the state government may be grossly insufficient in understanding the needs of the people living in rural setting. Hence, the need for gram panchayats and sabhas became very evident. The 73rd Constitutional Amendment of India, 1992, constitutionalized Panchayati Raj. Earlier, it was not. Institution which the idea of propagating democracy to the grassroots level of the country. Evolution of local self-government, though introduced quite late in post-independent India, Panchayat Raj is not recently conceptualized term. As I said, it belong to way back to the civilizations. Like it's a brief history, like what in before the Mughals, British gram panchayats held and then in ancient the selection for the leaders of the panchayat was more or less similar to the modern one only, but only difference it was now it is constitutionalized. So same was till independence and all. So committees were appointed for Panchayati Raj to gauge the level of efficiency of the local village governance bodies, and the government has set up multiple commissions to evaluate this more closely. The committees that were appointed were four of them were there. First is Balbant Rai Mehta Committee to see the efficiency of the local village governance. Uh, it was not constitutionalized then in Panchayati Raj. So that time it was appointed. In 1957, Rai Mehta Committee was appointed to examine the community development program and the national extension service and suggest measures to make its functioning more effective. So it all the committee was appointed for that only, to see evaluate how the programs are working and what suggestions to be made for that. This committee submitted its report with the suggestion to establish a system of local government that shall decentralize democratic power. This system was the Panchayati Raj. So it was suggested by Balwant Rai Mehta, the Panchayati Raj, first time to have a local government to decentralize the democratic power. The suggestion made by the committee were Panchayat Raj is the third level of local governance which shall have three tiers to itself, namely the Gram Panchayat. Even there, it has three tiers to itself, that is Gram Panchayat, the Panchayat Samiti, and the Jila Parishad. Jila Parishad, the topmost, Gram Panchayat, and then Panchayat Samiti. Like the elective representation system followed by our country, lower and upper house, the Panchayati Raj shall have the same system. There will be direct election for the Gram Panchayat, and the Panchayat Samiti and Jila Parishad will have indirectly elected representatives. Like we have in Rajya Sabha also. So similarly, Gram Panchayat will have elections for that, and Panchayat Samiti and Jila Parishad, they will have indirectly elected representatives. The Panchayati Raj system shall focus the most on the development and planning of the area and its population. Please mute yourself. Please mute. Panchayat Samiti shall be the executive, while the Jila Parishad shall be there in the capacity of an advisory and supervisory body. So the execution level will be executing of the things will be done by the Panchayat Samiti and Jila Parishad and will be for the advise for advising and supervising the projects and all running in the village. The chairman of the Jila Parishad shall be the district collector. This was the first time Panchayat Raj was by Balwant Rai committee. It was suggested and it came into being. Then again, changes were made time and again in the whole structure of Panchayat Raj Committee. Then again, the Ashok Mehta Committee was set up in 1977 after the alarming decline of the Panchayat Raj system. As I said, time and again things were changed. So committee were kept on. The committee were made and they kept suggesting and things were changed accordingly. So Panchayati Raj changed its form and structure time and again. Their objective was to help its revival because they were it was not functioning properly and there was a decline in Panchayati Raj system. So to revive it, the Ashok Mehta committee came into being. Their key recommendation are as follows. Most significant recommendation was to transform the three-tier system into a two-tier one, with Jila Parishad on the district level and a Mandal Panchayat representing a group of villages. Like one Jila Parishad will be there. Earlier it was limited to one village. Now one Jila Parishad will be there. And Mandal Panchayat, you must have heard that of term Mandal. So Mandal एक मंडप जैसे भी कहते हैं. So it come other villages, a group of villages come under that. The Jila Parishad shall serve as the primary level of supervision after the state government. It will also be responsible for the executive function and the planning at the district level. These two institutions, the Jila Parishad and the Mandal Panchayat, shall be responsible for their finances and have taxation powers also. So this was the suggestion of the Ashok Mehta committee. Again, in after 77 in 1985 again it was reviewed and again a committee was appointed, that is VK Rao committee by the planning commission in 1985. The development envisaged from the local level bureaucratism was not at par with the result. Some key recommendation by this committee were: the Jila Parishad was deemed the most significant body of the system, essential to the decentralization that was originally planned. Because Jila Parishad earlier played a very important role. So again, the decentralization of power of Jila Parishad was planned. Jila Parishad was to head the management of all programs related to the development of the district. The lower levels of Panchayati Raj were responsible for very particular aspect of the set development programs, planning and implementation. Panchayati Raj was lower levels for that, and Jila Parishad was for implementation and management of the things and supervision. This committee also suggested the creation of a post, namely District Development Commissioner, who shall also serve as the chief executive of the Jila Parishad. So, one more post was suggested by this committee. JVK Rao committee was District Development Commissioner. Then, after that, in 1986, again a committee was set up, the LM Singhvi Committee, to have insight into the revitalization of the Panchayati Raj system for its growth. The committee made the following recommendation. The most key recommendation made by this committee was to grant the Panchayati Raj system constitutional status, which was not given to it till date. It also suggested that there should be constitutional provision for free and fair election. So that was free and fair election system was done. Then it was suggested that the villages need to be reorganized to make the gram panchayat more functional and effective. So reorganization of the villages. The committee also saw the need to increase the financial budget because earlier financial budget was less. So to increase that financial budget of the bodies to support their activities, and that's why many a times because of financial problem, the budget was low, so things could not take place at a large scale. Another noteworthy recommendation was setting up judicial tribunals in every state to adjudicate issues related to the election to these bodies so that they should have a fair election. So, judicial tribunals were set up in every state to look at the issues related to election of these bodies. If any malpractices were followed, the judiciary will take action against it. So it was set up. All these attempts to evaluate the and better the Panchayat Raj system show how important these local self-governing bodies are for democracy. That's why it was these committees were set up. Since these bodies are closer to the population, they identify the grassroots problems better and can offer better solution. As we talked about, Rajasthan and Andhra Pradesh were the first state to adopt the Panchayati Raj system in 1959, and other states shortly followed after. A few variations are noted within these structures that differ from state to state. However, structural aspect of it remain the same. Structural aspect is same, but few state different some variations were seen. Every state panchayat raj is three-tiered. The panchayat's head, the village level, the panchayat samiti's head, the block level, and the Jila Parishad head, the district level, because of several organizations sustained work and effort. Because of these several organization works, now it is working in a better way. The 73rd constitutional amendment came as recognized by the Panchayati Raj. It was followed by the 74th constitutional amendment that recognizes the municipalities, urban local governance bodies. So it was constitutionalized in the 73rd constitutional amendment and Panchayati Raj system. It was formally recognized in the Constitution of India. The act was added as Part 9 in the Constitution, and the 11th schedule defined its functionaries. Now let's see what's the facts about that. In Part 9 of the Constitution was the related article. You can go read the articles. Article 243 to Article 2430, Article 40 under the directives principles of state policy is dedicated to the Panchayati Raj system. You can read that. It states that the state is to organize the panchayats and give them authority and powers to function as a self-governing body. Making it as an act was essential because now it is justiciable as it is within the limits of the constitution. So act was that's why it is constitutionalized and act was made. Now it is justiciable. Otherwise, it was till the time it was not constitutionalized, act was not made. It makes the system adoption mandatory in all state. Once act is made, obviously every state has to implement. Every state has to adopt. So every state has to adopt this Panchayati Raj system. The election process for these local governing bodies will be without any interference from the state. So there is no role for the states to play in the election. The act is divided into two parts, compulsory and voluntary. The compulsory provisions are to be added to the state's law, like the inclusion of the law that mandate the creation of the panchayats. It was compulsory added in the state law, and voluntary provisions were made, which some state opted for and some not. So it was not very important. So Panchayati Raj is very important, transforming India from a representative democracy to participatory democracy, as it methodically dismantles the notion of decentralization of power. 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act 1992 Panchayati Raj. Uh, the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act 1992 brought important changes to the country's political system. So its salient features are three-tier system. The act requires the organization of the system, third tier in the form of Panchayati Raj. So now Panchayati Raj is the third tier of our democracy. The Panchayat system too shall have a three-tier organization, which we talked about, like Jila Parishad, Gram Samiti, and Gram Panchayat. Intermediate, village, intermediate, and district levels. So at district level, it is Jila Parishad. Intermediate, it is Gram Panchayat, and Gram Samiti at village level. However, the state with a population on the lower side of 20 lakhs shall not constitute the intermediate tier. So it need not have to have the middle one. The state which have many states are there which has less population below 20 lakhs, especially the hilly areas. The Gram Sabha uh, shall be the primary body of the Panchayati Raj. The village panel will consist of all registered voters in the demarcated areas of the panchayat, so that the registered should be maintained. Its power and authority shall be at discretion of the state legislature. Election, Panchayat Raj has direct and fair election at all levels for its members. It is not it can't be no unfair practices has to be will be followed there. While the elections for the chairperson at the intermediate and district level are chosen through indirect elections. So like suggestions from people or indirect elections are like that only. Some suggestions or some surveys or something, and indirect elections. The state legislation selects the candidates for the chairperson position. Reservation in the assembly. There is a reservation of seats for the marginalized communities. SC/ST reservation is there at all the three levels. The percentage is divided by the population of the particular constituency. Women reservation is there for women candidates is set as one third of the total seats at all levels. The state government can also call over the reservation of seats for the backward classes at any level of the Panchayat Raj system, and the tenure is for 5 years as it is decided in the act. This is applicable at all levels of the system. For 5 years, people will be elected. The panchayat can also be dissolved before the completion of its tenure, like we do have at national level also. So at panchayat level also, it can be dissolved if some malfunctioning or something is found, or any problem arises. It can be dissolved before the tenure. Election for the fresh panel are to be completed before the completion of 5 year tenure of the panel. Before, if the panchayat assembly is dissolved before its tenure, the new election should take place within 6 months of the dissolution. Then the State Election Commission, the electoral rolls and conduction of elections are held entirely by the State Election Commission, from the supervision and direction to the control and preparation. The state government can make provisions concerning the elections. They have the certain right to make certain provision for the elections. The powers and function, the state governments can bestow onto the panchayats the power required for smooth and fruitful functioning as a self-governing body. So it is not that they rule the panchayats, but yes, they do have certain powers. They can like they can get involved at certain levels when they find that the things are not going on well. These powers can be depend on the panchayat's duties regarding the planning for the economic growth and social development, and or its implementation of schemes that promotes growth, including the article 29 listed in the 11th schedule. Please read so that you can have more idea about that. Now comes the financial situation. Under Panchayati Raj, the state government can make provisions for the panchayats and authorize them to undertake several steps like authorization to levy taxes or fees that are appropriate at the gram level, then assign an amount of taxes to the panchayat collected by the state, provision for grants in aid help for panchayat from the state funds. So state funds also do have some provision to allocate it for the gram panchayats for the development purpose. Finance Commission, the State Finance Commission is charged with the review of the financial stance of the assistance of the panchayats. It is subsequently also in charge of providing the required recommendations that will add to the resources of the panchayats. So finance commission, the state finance commission do review the financial status of the panchayats, and they make provisions for how to recommendation to how to add to the resources, like how they can increase their fund and all. Audit, the state government can make arrangements to audit and maintain the panchayat's account. Even panchayat's accounts are maintained, so the state government makes arrangements for that. Exemption, though every state government is under a mandate to make provision for the Panchayat Raj system, this act does have some exemptions. This system does not apply to the states of Meghalaya, Nagaland, and Mizoram, along with some other areas. So they do make provision for Panchayat Raj system. It is there in the act, but many states are exempted for that. From that, that is Meghalaya, Nagaland, Mizoram, and so on. Now, existing law Panchayat Raj system, the state governments are required to adopt and implement the new Panchayat Raj system within 1 year. The day it was constitutionalized in the 70th, they had to adopt within 1 year. However, areas that already had panchayats running before the commencement will continue to function. Like those who were already having this system, they continue to function till the term expired. Otherwise, those who did not adopt, they had to adopt immediately once this law was implemented. Then, interference by courts. The act immunes the panchayati system against interferences from the judiciary. It states the validity of a law limiting constituencies and the seat allotment to those constituencies. Any court cannot question it. To whom the seats are allotted, like seats are allotted before the elections and all. So no court can question this. It limits questioning about the elections unless presented by a petition as advised by the state government. So courts could not question the election process also until and unless any state advised it. So all these laws were made, but it has many challenges. You might be asked a question like critically analyze. Whenever we critically analyze, we do write the negatives and positives, and then we analyze. So these points will help you out there. Challenges faced by local self-government, as discussed above, the Panchayat Raj system does not come without its drawbacks, as the Indian society is structured in a way that creates multiple challenges for a grassroots level self-governing body. So there are many challenges at this level, like malpractices. There are many things are there which we know what happens actually on ground level, right? there is वो बच्चों का what school is there, gram level pay, even food and all, they people take rice or wheat. They kids are not given, even milk products are given, that is there in the midday meal, but they don't get. That goes to the person, those who are working there. So it is that those things are there at ground level, so many problems are there, and their very payment is also very less, and that's why all these things happens also, because they are hardly paid anything, 3 4,000 5,000, that is the payment they are getting. Especially regarding discrimination against the subjugated women, people from the lower caste, etc. These local self-government institutions like face multiple problems. First, financial funding, a big hurdle in the path of these institutions. Change is slow as there is a requirement to widen the areas of panchayats to increase their funds. They get very less fund, though funds are there, but it is not up to the mark which is required to bring. Like some villages that they are very developed, so they might require less fund. But those villages, those who are in remote areas, they require a lot of fund for the development purpose. So funding, financial funding, funding is a big hurdle in this. Local interference from the member of parliaments, they do interfere in the working, though it is there, they don't have to interfere, but this they do. Especially in India, they do rule, actually, I can say. The local interference from the member of parliament and members of legislative assembly also crowd over the autonomy of the panchayats and hinder the delivery of justice. India में तो that thing is there. The leader, they think what they think about themselves. They do rule, like any, if something goes against them, they take the grudges out of that. If they take money, extract money at the gram level also, they take money from panchayats also. So that, and everything is on paper, pen and paper. Many policies they do run on pen and paper, like this pradhan mantri kaushal vikas yojana. Most of the places it is running on pen and paper. Now, due to involvement of few NGOs, things are going better than before, but not what is expected. So earlier it used to be like कहीं पे वो skill development का program हो रहा है, they only write on the paper, एक घर ले लिया है, yes, programs are running, and they take money from the government. So these things do happen. So these malpractices do happen, and money goes in the pocket of the member of parliaments or other those who are in power. The 73rd Amendment Act was incomplete and inadequate in providing autonomy to the local governing bodies. The right to delegate functions, powers, and finances was left to the state government. Transferring of several government roles like the services of education, sanitation, health, and water was not mandated to the panchayats. It was left to the state legislations to devolve these roles, responsibilities. So it was not transferred to them, so they could not take action in this direction. So it was in the hands of state government only, and that again a big problem, because all these are developmental work. The terrible conditions of the state water boards are a prime example of the state lack of capability to head these responsibilities. There are many places in Bundelkhand, or they don't have water supply is not there. They have to travel for 5 miles to get water. So the problem is there. Even in big cities now, things do have improved. Like Bhopal and all. Earlier, water supply was not there. Now Narmada water is there. Otherwise, people used to dig, like dig the ground to like 10-20 feet, and then they used to get water from there, from the main pipeline. So the condition was such worse. The lack of finances can be narrowed down mainly as the main failure of the amendment. PRIs can either receive governmental transfer or raise their funds. The authority of taxation given to the PRIs is authorized by the state government, something that most states have not done yet. Regarding the second method of fund generation, intergovernmental transfers are the options. This is when a state government assigns a certain amount of revenue to these bodies. The amendment provided recommendation for the State Finance Commission to provide revenue, divide them, and the panchayats. But since these are not only recommendations, they are not acted upon. So there was provision, but it was not acted upon, and that's why the panchayats lacked fund. Panchayats are cautious of taking up projects requiring greater funding, causing them to lack in solving even the most rudimentary government's requirements. They are not able to solve that, even the basic level requirements. These structural weaknesses are not just limiting to the state governments, but also corrode the PRIs. There is no secretarial substructure and a general lack of technical knowledge limit their growth. The people, those who are engaged, they do lack technical knowledge. So that is again, then there is no substructure of secretary and all to look after. So all those these things created a problem in the proper functioning of the Panchayat Raj. There is a lack of clarity when setting up agenda for meeting as there is no structure. Who will meet? There has to be some structure. Acha, this is the representative. Of course, they are there, but again, it has to be restructured. सिर्फ 3 लोग मिलके can't decide, so that has to be restructured. इस एरिया का ये सेक्रेटरी ऐसा ऐसे करके, and then things can happen, but the structure is not there, and that's why no meeting can happen. The problems of proxy representation and panchpati are evident when it comes to the seat reserved for women and the SC/ST classes. Representation, like पत्नी का नाम है, पति काम कर रहे हैं, so that is the proxy representation. There is limited accountability within these institutions. The funding and division of functions are two important issues uh, in ambiguity. It holds back more meaningful participation from the informed representatives. So this is all panchayati raj and the administration part. Just a minute. Huh? Anything till now? Anything you want to add? Now we'll take a break for 10 minutes and then we'll be covering the next part. The units are too big to be covered in one session. Anything from your side? Are you all there or taken a break?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything you want to add? Any question from your side? No one? Okay, we'll meet after 10 minutes then.